this pest, other than ensuring that an environment remains stable to counter these issues. And even the issues of hail damage is causing a lot of damage. Let's move to the next slide. And these are studies that have been undertaken to project if we do not do anything. If we say, let's continue with business as usual, by 2050, some parts of our tea growing areas will not have any tea to grow. And if you saw the data that was shared yesterday by David on the kind of harvesting that we do on eucalyptus to have fuel for our factories, and you look at the increasing population in our smallholder farmers' fields, unless we do something, that is the scenario likely to have by 2050. We won't have any tea coming from the tea growing areas. Now, for us to counter all these things, we came up with a rationalized tea breeding program that entails 4 major phases: the creation of base population, the issues of progeny testing. Base population is where I go into my breeding garden and start breeding purposely for new varieties that are able to counter the climate change or resilient to climate change, the market issues, and I create a population that from which in the next generation I'll be able to select. Then the progeny, these are offspring of the parents that I use in my breeding garden, and they're just like our children. Then we clone the best progeny. We advance them to field trials, chronofield trials, then to chrono adaptability trials with our farmers, because Kericho is the only place where tea is being developed, but we do not have a testing site. We only have a small one in Kangaita, that is in Kerenyaga, which is completely full. So we normally do these studies with our farmers and the estates, and by the time we release a new variety, it takes about 23 years. So that is a very long period. If you're not patient, you cannot make it. It requires a lot of patience and a lot of, because you cannot force the plant, the tea, to grow like maize. So what have we done to overcome this? So let's move to the next slide. So what we've done is that we have profiled all the known cultivars, including the genetic materials for various traits. For high yield, we can see we have for high quality. For high quality, in this case, for high black tea quality. And the varieties that are good for high black tea quality are not necessarily good for high green tea quality. I mentioned that the higher the levels of polyphenols, the higher the levels of the quality of black tea, but the lower the quality of green tea. But over the years, we have discovered you can also change the processing technology to ensure that even the cultivars that are good for black CTC tea are also good for black orthodox tea or even green tea, by ensuring that you harvest before 9. If you harvest when it is hot, I told you earlier that the polyphenols increase, accumulate in the plant to assist the plant to resist the high temperatures. So if you pluck that leaf at midday or even between midday all the way to 3, and you process it for green tea, I can tell you that tea will be very astringent and will not be able to drink it. So those are the environmental issues that we pray aloud with. So genetics, then why do we do progeny testing? Progeny testing, why do we take our children to school? You can know the performance of a parental bush material by looking at the performance of the children. Or rather, the way your children perform in school determine your genes, whether you are genetically okay or not. So some of us, when our children perform very well, we say they do very well because of, like dad, isn't it? But what we have discovered through genetic studies is that most of the best traits are actually maternally inherited. So for breeders, for us, if I want to improve a certain bush for quality of green tea or even purple tea, I have to have the mother right. The father is just for the purpose of ensuring that I have a complete genetic component. So thank you for that. So I think the Gen Zs have learned something, that the mother is the most important. Then let's move to the next slide. So when we do progeny testing, we would want to know which are the suitable materials for high yield, for example. And when we are doing selection, we focus on the materials performing around this side. And we also include their parents and also commercial clones, so that we select bushes that outperform their parents by more than 100% and other commercial clones by a similar percentage. And therefore, our selection is very strict because we only select around where we have more. This could be about 2 or 3% of the entire population. So our selection is normally very ruthless. But remember, here we're only selecting for yields. And because the genes, when you have a continuous variation like that, it means that trait is controlled by many genes, and these genes are not in one variety. There is so many varieties. And that's why it takes long to develop a high-yielding clone or high-quality clone through conventional breeding. But because we have to safeguard our market, our consumers do not want to hear that there is anything like genetic modification in tea. So we have to keep waiting. But for academic purposes, we are doing it, but not for commercial purposes. Let's move to the next slide. So between 2005, for example, and 2008, we had developed over 900 new clones, new cultivars that are in different stages of evaluation. But out of all these 900, we've only released 63, meaning that we have already prepared the world and our country for the next 100 years. And these are chronomaterials for your information. When it comes to the progenies, we have more than 30,000 new genotypes that we have developed with the known parents. That is both the mother and the father, unlike in the former times. So these are already being considered for selection as we look at the issues of climate change and the market. So the next crop of breeders will be able to select based on the demand. Let's move to the next slide. So then for clone adaptability, as I said, we have to do it with our farmers all over the country, because a clone that does so well in Kericho may not necessarily do well in Meru or even in Nyeri or Kiambu. So we have to come to Kiambu, talk to maybe Karirana to give us a portion of their land so that we can test these new materials under to co-test with him, so that after 5 years, we shall have known which clones are suitable for his area. That never used to happen before. And that's why you realize that those mistakes were done at the beginning, because you release one clone for the whole country. It will not give you the same quality because of the issue we call G by E. And that is what I'm showing, that formula there, that yield is a function of the clone, the environment in which you grow that clone, and the interaction. So if the interaction is negative, then you'll have low yield. The same case applies to quality, processed tea quality, whether it is green, black, or purple. That is very, very important. When it comes to environment, it is very complex. Look at the soils. And for your information, we've made our tea soils very sick by over-application of fertilizer. Imagine you've been applying for some fields fertilizer, NPK fertilizer, for the last 100 years. What this has happened is that because of the high rate, the nitrous and nitric acid, which have got very, very damaging effect on the ozone layer, are also messing up the environment. They increase the global warming of tea fields by more than 300 times. And you see, nitrous acid persists in the environment for more than 100 years. So the more N we apply, the more we harm the soil. So the tea soils are also sick. The microbial organisms in our tea soils have become very low. So we need to do a lot. Other than having new varieties, we need to do something here. The issues of pest, the environment is very complex. This is where we have to work together to see how we can correct this situation. The management aspect, the farmer is a manager, the factory manager is also a manager, and the way they treat the leaf when it is delivered to them will have an impact on the quality. So it is a very complex thing, and all players have to come on board. So the current breeding techniques we're employing in order to fast-track the processing technology, we are using both the conventional breeding approaches. We are also using genomics because we want to understand which genes using DNA that are responsible for the various traits. And we are now utilizing what is called marker-assisted selection. By looking at the DNA level, we are able to tell and predict which genes are responsible or which genes are responsible for quality, for drought tolerance, and we can select even at nursery stage without going through the various phases. And that way, we are trying to shorten those 23 years to around 10 years so that we are able to fast-track the release process. And maybe as time goes by, we might have to introduce percent of our farmers are using 1 or 2 clones. Show the level of diversity. So let's move to the next slide. And to combat we're already doing it, not to cause genetic modification, but to fast-track the process has got carbon dioxide. So for us to benefit from carbon credit, we have to ensure that our teas either have a global warming potential of 0 or negative. And what are the efforts that we need to put? We need to ensure that we reduce the amount of N that we put in our soils and incorporate the organic fertilizers, and that we shall be reducing on N nitrous oxide emissions by more than 60%. Other than that, we shall also be treating our soils that are also very sick, that I have just said that they are very sick. We have also to introduce agroforestry within our tea fields so that we can also modify the environment. In Japan, when they want to harvest leaf for good quality green tea, they artificially cover their fields for more than 2 weeks, 14 days. And then they put a lot of N, sometimes to almost 1,000 kilogram N, so that they increase the levels of theanine. Theanine is the amino acid that when you take tea, you feel good. It has a relaxing effect. That's why they say if you are stressed, take tea, you'll be calm again. If you feel like hitting somebody, you take a cup of tea, you'll be okay, you'll not kill somebody. So that is theanine. So they enhance the levels of theanine by shading those trees. But how many of our farmers can afford artificial shading? We have to introduce agroforestry trees, the right species and spacing for our farmers to be able to plant them. One, they will ameliorate the effect of climate change, the heat, and also the leaf that will be plucked from those teas will be purposely manufactured for green tea. So that is the diversification I'm talking about. So we have released of those teas. But you can see, if you look at the stock is the family number or the family name. By year 2000, we had over 20 closely related cultivars to one clone, which is the 6-8. As I said earlier, it was discovered the mother in tea, just like in human being, is very, very important. And therefore, what the breeder did, he over-selected seeds from 6-8 and evaluated them and released varieties that were closely related to 6-8 because people are only after quality. And that is very dangerous. But later on, we introduced the interspecific hybrids, the Cambod, the Assam, and we have what we call Cambod China hybrid. So the latter generation that we inject into the industry, other than their amenability to product diversification, they're also very good. They are also very diverse genetically, and therefore, when our farmers plant them, it means that they are properly buffered against climate change. And they also have raw material for other products like green tea, white tea, yellow teas, and those are the teas that I'm talking about. So let's move to the next slide because you already seen this. And then the value-added products. This is what the direction we need to move. If you look at this area here, these are by tea-fortified alcoholic drinks. I looked at the statistics of the beers Kenyan drank last year, and I was shocked to learn that Kenyans drank, that is for legal beer, not the illegal beer, because you do not have statistics for illicit brews. Kenya drank over 500 billion worth of beers last year, and we only drank less than that billion worth of Kenyan teas. So what does it mean? If we come up with a law and we say if more than that percent of the beers that are drunk are fortified with tea, we can increase our farmers' earning by a similar margin. And black tea will go very well with the Tusker, while purple tea will go very well with the wine. So why can't we move into that direction and we shall increase local consumption? The issues of beauty products, the purple tea does the best beauty products that are anti-aging. If you want your skin to remain the way it is, baby face, even when you are 60, 70 years, tea-fortified skincare products are the best, and we have all those products. The Kenyan varieties have got the best the highest content of some of these polyphenols, the anthocyanins, and that's why most of our people, the people who buy our teas, use it either for extract or for the export. You've already seen what George has shared, that over 45, the most of the teas that Pakistan imported was for the export to other countries. Why? Because we have the best tea in the world. So what is my take-home message? That we have to look at the sustainability of our tea industry for the next 100 years by looking at the issues of low carbon tea practices, by diversification and value addition. And we also need to think about flavoring our teas. We can use extract for cosmetics, for beverages, for the food industry, and that way you'll be able to reduce the volume of black CTC teas and increase the volumes of specialty teas. It's a win-win situation. By that way, we shall increase the earnings of our farmers by more than 50%, and also the foreign exchange. And the tea industry will be sustainable for the next 100 years, when we shall be celebrating not consumption of black CTC, but consumption of specialty teas. Thank you so much for listening to me.
A warm round of applause for Dr. Kamunya. Thank you so much, Dr. for taking us through the journey and even giving us how the future is looking for the tea industry. We truly appreciate you. Perhaps you can give him another warm round of applause. Thank you so much. Now we know that there are vast varieties available, whether you want to choose yellow tea, because purple tea is now what almost everyone knows, and green tea. Now you know that there is yellow tea. And also some of the things that he spoke about is sustainability, adopting sustainable practices in the farm. Remember yesterday we had a presentation from David Sawe, who spoke about the sustainability processes, how you can leverage on solar, how you can avoid deforestation by having particular trees every single time you use it in your factories. So we truly appreciate for that. And we hope that we will get to engage more in regards to that. And without further ado, we can have our next speaker, who is still going to speak to us about research, because we've seen the different varieties available and that can work well in the Kenyan soil. Tell us more about the research so far. Which other varieties are available so far, or what are we looking into? Because we are marking 100 years of tea commercialization. How is the future of tea? And we have Lillian Kerio, who's the director, Tea Research Institute, and will be speaking about the role of research and development. And she is also under CALRO. Welcome, Lillian. Even as she is preparing, it's ready. Welcome on board. A warm round of applause as she approaches the podium. Welcome, Lillian.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lillian Kerio. I'm from CALRO Tea Research Institute. I will speak about the role of tea research in contribution to the tea industry. But first of all, I want to acknowledge Tea Board of Kenya, and thank you very much for facilitating us. Thank you very much for having us. I think all the presenters since we started have been gentlemen, so at least this time you can listen to a lady, isn't it? And my predecessor, Dr. Samson Kamunya, has talked much about genetics. In fact, I feel like I'm just going to have an overview of tea research and maybe remind you that tea research is still there. When we went to CALRO, I think there was a little bit of loss with the connection to the tea industry. But I'm even glad that today the Agriculture Committee is sitting here in Sarova, and we hope the Tea Act the tea bill will be enacted, and then we will now have, hopefully, independence with tea research, and you will see us more with you in the near future. So I'll just tell you like an overview of what tea research does to remind you in case you have forgotten. But Dr. Kamunya has really done justice to what tea research has done on tea genetics. Mine is really going to be general administrative, but we are still going to appreciate that we still do research. Only that funding has really been an issue. So about CALRO. CALRO is an umbrella body that brought together the four organizations: the former KARI, Kenya Agricultural Research Institute, Tea Research Foundation of Kenya, former Tea Research Foundation, Coffee Research Foundation, and Sugar Research Foundation. And you as well know that our minister, our current CS, actually sat in the panel of the formation of CALRO. But he said it was a good idea. The only thing that it lacked was implementation and funding. When the ad valorem levy was removed in the year 2016, we've not received any funding since that time. And that's why our research activities have gone down, but we appreciate the fact that we are still around. Next slide. So Tea Research Institute, that's how it looks. Its headquarters is in Kericho County. We also have a station in Kangaita in Kirinyaga County. So Tea Research actually was formed a little history, in 1949. So research was initiated by Brookbond Kenya Limited with their company Africa Tea Holdings. In 1951, it was renamed Tea Research Institute of East Africa, that was serving Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. In 1957, it was registered in Uganda. 1959, registered in Tanzania, but it did not take off as much. So in 1980, the government of Kenya, through Tea Board of Kenya, established Tea Research Foundation of Kenya. But in 2013, KALRO Tea Research Institute was established through the KALRO Act of 2013. However, our mandate did not change. Our mandate is still the same, that is to promote research and investigate problems related to tea and such other crops and system of husbandry as associated with tea throughout the country. So, and that is what Dr. Kamunya has really elaborated much. I don't want to dwell on that, but this is the mandate of tea research. We are one of the 17 institutes in KALRO with 53 centers located throughout the country. Next slide. The services we offer in tea research are to improve and manage tea germplasm for enhanced production of Kenya. That is what has just been said, the tea breeding and genetics for improved production and productivity in Kenya. We also advise on soil fertility, inputs application in terms of fertilizer, organic and inorganic fertilizer, and also plant nutrition. We also develop appropriate technologies in collaboration with the tea industry for tea processing, product diversification, value addition in tea. It has very well been elaborated by Dr. Kamunya. We also develop environment-friendly pest and disease management methods. You know that we do not spray our tea. We do not use insecticides on our tea. So we have to develop environmentally friendly management methods, that is even by using repellent plants, plants that will repel the insects that can cause a lot of damage to the plant. We also transfer and disseminate. No, we develop management tools for quality tea production and also transfer and develop tea technologies and assess their impact on tea production and processing. Next slide. Our tea industry stakeholders, you can see Tea Board of Kenya, KTGA, KTDA, Nyayo Tea Zones, the independent tea producers, we also work with them, Purple Tea Association of Kenya, IATA, tea packers, and all that. So KALRO is the anchor within that system. Tea growing regions in Kenya, Dr. Kamunya had elaborated on it. I don't want to dwell on that. And as we go, our strategic direction is actually our vision is excellence in tea research towards transformed livelihoods, and our mission statement is to conduct tea research through applications of science and technology and innovation to catalyze sustainable growth and development in the tea value chain. That has really been elaborated. And we have 5 themes to enable us achieve our strategic direction. We have 5 support themes in tea research. One is crop improvement and management, and that is where tea genetics, tea breeding has already been elaborated by Dr. Kamunya. We have the sustainable ecosystem management. That is where we have issues of climate change and plant nutrition. Tea processing and value addition is another section. Economics and field advisory services for dissemination of technologies, corporate services, and partnerships. We do a lot of partnerships in tea research. We cannot work alone. We have equipped laboratories in tea research. As you can see, we have an ICPE that analyzes all elements in the soil within a very short time. We used to have what was called AAS, Atomic Absorption Spectrophotometer. That one would analyze one element at a time. But we have an ICPE right now. We can do your soil analysis very well within 1 or 2 hours, and we know the profile of your soil. So those are the services that we offer in tea research. It's only that we don't have the space. All this, please, please. We also have HPLC. We have talked about catechins, EGCG, anthocyanins, polyphenols. HPLC machine enables us to identify each and every one of them. Like in purple tea, when I was doing the anthocyanins, there are several types of anthocyanins, different types of anthocyanins in the purple tea. And we have to see which one is the predominant one in purple tea. And when I did that, I discovered that an anthocyanidin called malvidin is the most predominant in our tea. So, and that's why our tea has the purple tea has high antioxidant activity. We also have spectrophotometers for total polyphenol analysis. We also have machines that are used for tea breeding and genetics. So we are well equipped. And the other day we launched a curriculum in Karatene University. And I was telling them that we need to partner so that you can come and do your research with us, because we have a well-equipped laboratory. It's only that at this time some of the equipment are obsolete because of lack of funding. Some need calibration due to lack of funding, but we hope that in the near future that will be sorted out and will become a center of excellence in tea research. Next slide. Crop improvement management, we have developed and released 58, or my predecessor said 63, which is still okay. 58 tea cultivars have been released to the farmers. 5 are still undergoing the final testing, and that's what makes it 63 for purple, white, green, silver tips, and orthodox and oolong processing of tea. Improved crop husbandry practices, tea that is purely tea breeding. We have tea that have diverse polyphenol content in Kenyan tea, that is for processing high-value black CTC, high-value black orthodox, high-value oolong teas, and we have all these diverse genetic resources in Kenya. We're also doing geographical indicators for branding of Kenyan tea. This is a project that was funded by National Research Fund, but due to also constraints in funding, because it is a government institution, funding at some point stopped, so this project has not come to completion, but once it comes into completion, we will give the results, and we have done geographical mapping of our teas in the east of Rift and the west of Rift. Next slide. So we have also identified cultivars that are drought tolerant. Dr. Kamunya has said that. All this has been said by Dr. Kamunya. I don't want to really belabor on that. Next slide. And those are the varieties. And when he said morphological characteristics, morphological is the physical appearance of one tea and another. These were granted professional release in 2018, and you can see the size of leaf, the color of leaf is different from one leaf to another. But when they are in a plantation of about 20 acres, you would not really identify them, maybe differentiate between one variety and another. But now, like TRI 91428, it is specially for processing black orthodox or green orthodox tea, depending on the amount of polyphenols that is contained in that tea. And I think we have done all that biochemical studies. We have a tea specialized for green orthodox, a tea specialized for black orthodox tea, and this TRFK 895-7 for black CTC tea. For sustainable ecosystem management and conservation, we have determined the optimal fertilizer formulations and rates for black CTC tea. We came up with the fertilizer NPK at 26.55, okay? This has also enhanced yields by, per unit area. We also have organic fertilizer studies, where organic tea farming is taking root here in Kenya as part of product diversification. And we are working currently with the Browns Plantation. They have over 200 acres of organic tea. We are also working with Honest Tea that are also want to convert part of their fields into organic tea, to produce organic tea. For climate change, we also do the studies on climate change. Frost and hail damage has been a very major menace in the tea industry. We are also doing studies on agroforestry, just as Dr. Kamunya had mentioned before, and also low carbon tea cultivation that will result in the lowering of greenhouse gas emissions. So these are the challenges, as you had seen before. And as we speak right now, hailstorm. In the last 1 month, there has been a lot of hailstorm in Kericho County. And as I speak now, like in tea research, I have lost 90% of my tea fields to a hailstorm that fell 2 weeks ago. So there's no plucking going on. From plucking about 8 to 10,000 kilograms per day in tea research, I'm now at 0. Okay? Even as I stand here, there's nothing going on. There was a huge and major hailstorm that fell. So these are the challenges. But you see, you cannot control the hailstorm from falling. What you can only control is to develop the clones that will recover faster from such stressors, from frost, from drought. And that is what tea breeding and genetics is all about. Next slide. For tea processing and value addition, Dr. Kamunya has said. Next slide. We also have tea and health studies. As had been mentioned before, our studies and when you go and say our tea has superior health properties, how do you justify and support that? It is through studies, because we have to use, when you say the antioxidant activity of tea is determined through polyphenols and catechins, anthocyanins, theanine and all that, we have to use cancer cells to prove that. We have to use diabetic mice to prove that our tea can alleviate diabetes or can lower the damaging effect of diabetes in your cells. And those are very expensive studies. Previously, it has been done. Anthocyanins crossing the blood-brain barrier in your head, to impart the antioxidant activity has been done before, but that is when there was funding. Right now, we cannot do this right now because of lack of funding, but we still hope. You will see the future prospects. Strategic Tea Quality Improvement Program is what we are working with Tea Board. The PS appointed a team that is going around factories and farms to determine how we can improve processed tea and also how we can improve leaf from the farm. Next slide. And these are value addition. I'm sure you've seen all this. You saw it even in the previous slide. My predecessor also presented this. We have seen all these products outside in the exhibitions, and this is where we are really raring to go. Green Orthodox processed from this variety, black tea processed from that. Those are the tea liquors, and that is the color of the tea liquors. White tea also processed from that variety of clone, and it is a very good tea. Next slide, please. Purple tea. I'm seeing now, initially when we released purple tea, it was received with a lot of skepticism. But I'm seeing right now, every table that is exhibiting has purple tea as one of the products. And that makes me really proud, because we were one of the pioneer scientists that researched on this purple tea together with the health benefits, TRF K306. But we even have a second generation purple tea that we are about to release, and it has higher anthocyanin content than even the previous TRF K306. So research studies are ongoing. That will also be released soon. Field advisory services is also one of the functions functions of tea research. We disseminate technologies through capacity building workshops, field days. We also have Calro Open Research Week. We have one in March 2025. I want to invite all of you to attend the Calro Open Research Week in next year in March. We also have manuals, publications, reports, tea journals, annual reports, and we also have scientific conferences and exhibitions. Please attend when you see the notification. So every Tuesday and Friday is an open day for farmers, for schools, universities, and even individuals to visit tea research to come and learn about even nursery establishment, to come and learn about how to bring tea into bearing. And I'm very glad because in this forum we have KTDA directors who were elected the other day. I want to urge you, please bring your farmers to tea research. Most of the farmers do not know that tea research actually is a government body. From the history, what I said, tea research started off under Brookbone. So they still have that mentality that tea research is either in Unilever or belongs to James Finlay. And you don't just go to these companies just like that. One thing I want to tell you is bring your farmers for free. Bring your farmers so that we can transfer these technologies. One of the aspects, one of the reasons why we have poor tea quality is because of old clones that have been planted by the farmers, especially in the west of Rift. East of Rift are replanting. Whenever we release cultivars, East of Rift farmers are the first ones to come and uptake the technologies. Our farmers in the west of Rift have been a bit slow on that, but I want us to work with the KTDA directors. Let us come, we tell you how you can replant your farms with the new varieties that we have released in a very cost-effective manner. I talked to farmers one time in Toror Tea Factory, and that is the thing they were saying. How do I don't have money to come and uproot my 1 acre of tea. In their mind is like, you need a bulldozer to come and uproot that tea and then replant it. What will I do for the next 2 years? What will I do for the next 3 years? But we have cost-effective methodologies that we have developed in tea research. Let us work together. Please come, because the quality of tea starts at the farm, then again at the processing level. But first, let us get it right from the variety in the farm. You cannot have a tea plant that was planted in 1954. A farmer told me, this is what my grandfather, and they have so much attachment to what their grandfathers planted. My grandfather said, we do not. This is a very good tea plant, and it was good, and it is still good 50 years later. As much as you add, however much fertilizer you add into it, it will not be as productive, and you will not get the same value of tea that was there even before. KTDA directors, please come to tea research. Bring our farmers to tea research so that we can teach you, we can impart these technologies to our farmers. Thank you very much. Next. We also have a training center within our facility, a small training center where we carry out dissemination of technologies, or we carry out our research advisory committees. That is our training center. For those who've been there, they are familiar with it. It is a small training center. In our plan, we wanted to have a bigger training center, to have something like a tea science academy with more accommodation facilities, with bigger conference facilities, so that we can train all either farmers, processors, students, and they can come even for 3 days, for 2 days, for 1 week. So our limited facility, though it is small, at least it has served us for those who've used it. But in case we get funding, we need a bigger facility in tea research. But thank you for those who've been assisting us. We have ongoing research activities. All this, I won't go through each one of them because it is a whole mouthful. This is really science. But you can see funded by NRF, funded by NRF, and all that. So our funding is actually external. Next slide, you will see. Funded by TRI, a small one, but those are very long-term projects. Funded by Paxons, funded by Agritechno, Yara, funded by Toyota Shusho. I mean, we have, yes, research activities, but they are funded externally. And you know, when they are funded externally, you have to just do what the donor, you know, wants you to do. It doesn't matter whether it is meeting your mandate or it is meeting whatever it is, because all this is about fertilizer. Somebody wants to take their fertilizer out into the market, and they fund it. And that is the limitation that we have within tea research. We can write proposals, but tea is not a commodity that is funded by even World Bank. NAF-CDP is funding all the rest, including pyrethrum and coffee. But tea is not one of the value chains that is funded by even World Bank. FAO through IGG can fund it, but they will only fund something to do with climate change, which is limited. But you just have to do it. So these are planned research activities that we want to do in tea research to enable us add value to our tea, product diversification, and I said, all this requires a lot of money, a lot of funding, but right now they are in proposal stage. We hope when the Tea Act goes through, if we get our funding through ad valorem levy, then we can complete this and share with the tea industry. Next slide. These are still planned research activities. The issue of MRLs is another issue within the tea industry, microbiological assay of tea samples, and all that kind of thing. These are planned research activities that are in proposal level. Next slide. We also have partnerships with national and international bodies, like we have MOUs with JFK. This is now bronze. Sorry, I think this should be bronze at this time. KTDA, Nyayo Tea Zones, Kipkebe, and all that. We have MOUs with Zambia, with Uganda, with Rwanda. Rwanda, as you said, as somebody said the other day, the EATTA. George, you said the tea varieties that are in Rwanda are from Kenya, and actually we've been exporting them. Most recently, Mauritius have been importing, they are importing our tea varieties. We've been exporting cuttings to Mauritius, close to 1 million right now. And very soon, in the next 2 years, you may find Mauritius coming to overtake us. And then you start asking yourself, what happened? But they are the tea varieties from Kenya. So we do not want to go there and go and learn from them. We have to get it right from here at home, homegrown solutions. Yes, so key constraints, as I have said, we need state-of-the-art research facilities. We also have our research and development factory that is yet to be equipped. If you can go to the next slide. Next slide. Yes, we have that factory. It was to be a research and development factory where all the technologies in tea processing and value addition was supposed to be done here. This factory was completed 10 years ago. It is empty because of lack of funding. It is a white elephant in tea research. Whenever you go, wherever you go, everywhere in town, everybody asks, have you started processing tea? Can I bring my tea to your factory? We don't have equipment in our factory. So that is another message that I wanted the tea industry to know. This is a research and development factory. We will not be in competition with KTDA. KTDA, do your thing. Private investors, do your thing. But this is actually the new technologies were supposed to be incubated here. And that marks the end of my presentation about tea research. We hope that we will have a better future. We have been down on our knees for a very long time, but we hope in the near coming future will be a vibrant tea research foundation of Kenya. Thank you.
Wow, powerful presentation right there by Lillian Kerio. Thank you so much, Lillian, for sharing all those with that speech. Thank you so much. Well, it's through this body that Kenya gets to be the best gets to be the best tea producer in the world. We truly appreciate you, and just like Lillian mentioned, that you're welcome to visit their facility and get to know more about them. And just to note that all these presentations that we've had for the past 3 days will be uploaded at the Tea Board of Kenya website, and you will be able to access them and get to go through them. And if you want to reach out to them, you can also do that. Remember, there's also an exhibition booth right outside. You can engage them further. And another round of applause for being one of the women representing the industry. We are truly honored to have women who are playing a vital role in this particular sector. So we truly appreciate you, Lillian. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to the last presentation of the summit. Not just the last presentation of the day, but the last presentation of the summit. And this presentation will be made by Rosemary Owino, who is the Director, Market Development and Trade Advisory, T-Board of Kenya, representing the Chief Executive Officer of TBK, William Mutai. Help me welcome Rosemary Owino. Welcome, Rosemary.
Thank you, Linda. It's been quite a journey. I hope it never sounded like 100 years. As we did it, yeah. Yeah, you definitely have realized I'm not Willie. He's meeting the senators on the other side, and for that reason, I will step in for him. So the question is simple. We've done 100 years. What next? What next? Will it be the same story in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 to make it 100? And then we will be here, those who will be privileged to be here, to give the same story? Or will they even be here in the first place? Against a background of the challenges that we have. Let's just look what will be key in determining our future. Pioneering the next century through innovation, quality, and global leadership in Kenya. My desire as a person and in the office I hold is that we will get stronger. That is my desire. But it does not happen through autopilot. Maybe when the Kane brothers introduced Kenya Tea, when they did in 1903, and we have heard so much about the story, I don't know whether they anticipated to get to another 100 years. Maybe through the past century, we have been able to just flow through autopilot because population is growing, there is need for tea, and therefore we found ourselves there. But the next century, the next 5 years, the next 10 years, 15, 20, before we reach another 100, will require a lot of deliberation. It may not be as successful if we are not deliberate in the way we do this, and also how we consolidate our support as the global fraternity. One of the things that we are aware is a challenge is that culturally, as a country and as Africans, we believe in ownership, in land ownership. And like where Ian Gibbs comes from, he will attest to this, that if you travel down UK and the countryside, you will see large tracts of farmland, large tracts of farm size, of large-sized farmlands, yes. That does not happen here in Kenya. In my village where I come from, back in the day when I was very young and we could go home to the countryside to visit my grandparents, we could drive and drive and drive through the maize plantations. I don't come from the tea growing area. Until we get to my grandfather's homestead, somewhere inside there, and we could have a very nice time. But nowadays, driving down home, it's like I'm passing through an estate. You know, this farm came down because George is now 18 years, he's about to marry, he must have his own homestead. You know, that place you'll find another Mr. X who brought down the farm, has to build a homestead, and therefore the village now looks like an estate, an urban estate. Now what that means is that we are now reducing and shrinking the sizes of our farms. So faced with that cultural pressure, how will the next 100 years be? Will we still enjoy seeing the large farm sizes that we have of tea, or somebody else will subdivide it to his son, who may or may not see the importance of growing tea, or does not want to get his or her hands dirty and decide, let me build a real estate. and then I will still get my money. After all, it's all about the money. So we are faced with that reality, okay? Increasing cost of production due to high cost of labor, energy, and fertilizer. Cost of production is very high in our country, the key thing being energy. And therefore, will we still have the same appetite to be able to invest more into our tea industry, faced with the constraints of labor and energy especially? Thank God for subsidized fertilizer from the government. Aging farmers, all the photos that we saw here during the summit of our tea plantations, all of them, they have somebody carrying a basket at the back, and none of them did we see a young person. They have vacated. Some of the schools that we built in the large estates where we have the tea pluckers having their children there, some of them could even be closing because as the children grow, they go away. They're not going to find farming more funky anymore. And therefore, some of the schools they may not have as many children. It just shows you that we are vacating. So that's what I'm saying is we need to look into being deliberate to be able to take command of our industry. Low production. This could be debatable because if the farmland sizes shrink, then it means that production will decrease. But at the same time, we have a lot of people coming in to plant and to produce more tea. So therefore, we may have low production or we may have higher production. It is not guaranteed. It depends on how we are going to be able to address the cultural issues and the economic issues facing us. Because of climate change, which Dr. Kamuna was able to demonstrate to us, will we still be able to enjoy good rainfall every afternoon? Or because of climate change, you might find the tea growing areas now beginning to shift. And if they shift, will they still give us the same quality of teas that we have from our highlands? Climate change. Of course, the challenge then is, Lillian has just scared me when she says hailstone happened, and for 2 weeks, if I had it right, she's not able to pluck. We can't control hailstone, but if it continues to do that every so often, and we do not have clones or varieties that can be able to withstand stress and recover very fast, then we know that climate change can hit us. And in the next 100 years, we might not have what we do have now. Of course, we also have the increasing number of cottage industries. They are smaller, which is good. It is because we are looking at innovation. We are looking at a different way of doing our things. No need of having 1,000 acres of land, for example, if I'm just to exaggerate, while I can do a small cottage industry and maybe be able to tailor-make my product offering. Forward contracts, will we still count on the auction? Or will we decide in the next 5 years, I can have a contract with X or Y pharmaceuticals if they want some extract of purple tea, and then dedicate my farm, dedicate my product, dedicate production for the next 5 years to these people. We need to change the conversation than just relying on the auction 100%, because everybody is going there. If I have a cottage industry, can I have a forward contract? Yeah, and that is what we are talking about. The factors that will be driving demand in this century that we are getting into as Kenya Tea: world population size. World population size is 19.5 billion from 8.2 billion in 2024, in the next 100 years. But are you guaranteed that all those people will be taking tea? We were told that somebody did a research, and I hope the person also did a research last night when we were here, because some of us left here today morning, went to change. So out of that research, how much tea did we take and how much of the other did we take? So even though population size may be increasing, it is not guaranteed that the tea uptake will increase in the same measure. We will need to enhance our marketing to ensure that as population increases, then we are also able to get a slice of the throat, a share of the throat from those consumers. Competition is real. Collins told us yesterday, there are many things competing for the tea shelf. Some could be beverages, some could not be beverages. If you ask somebody from Kenya breweries, they will tell you that their greatest headache when the people have gone to their bar is not even Coca-Cola, it's not even water. What is their greatest headache? Can you guess? I know Mr. Manu does not go there, but can you guess? Their greatest headache is Safaricom. Because when they go there, the young people there are always taking pictures, selfies, sending, pictures, selfies, sending, and therefore it slices into their pocket and they cannot buy as many drinks. So there are many, many things that are competing for that consumer, those 19.5 billion consumers whom we are looking at. A health-conscious population, are we really health-conscious? There are so many things that our young people are taking even right now. And once they take them, they can't take tea. We need to up our game in promoting a health-conscious population, telling them that tea should and always will be the preferred drink. Convenience products, okay? We are living it's called popcorn generation. Everything has become instant. When we were growing up, if I needed to talk to my mother in the village, I had to write a letter physically, get the stamp it, do this, and it goes. After 1 week, she receives it. Then I wait another 2 weeks to confirm that she received it. But right now, I just do a WhatsApp. I can see a blue tick. I can see her typing. In other words, a generation is coming up that is not as patient. And therefore, if that be the case in communication, then it is the case also in the beverage sector. They have got no time to sit, brew, and do this. Yes, there'll be room for that, but on an ordinary day, that will not happen. Therefore, convenient products, instant products will be very key if we still have to command this market for Kenya tea. And of course, e-commerce, having to sell our teas through e-commerce. DHL have done a good job on that, whereby even if you want to sell flavored tea and send to your friend in Canada, they can pick it, they can deliver it, and you can be able to customize your order. Then, of course, we talked about forward contracts, and that is a repetition. Demand may surpass supply, but let us be cautious. Don't be. I wouldn't like to use a bad word, but let us still produce our tea. Because if we slow down and say that, there's so much tea in the world, and therefore we are contributing to that oversupply, we only do 21%. Okay? There are those who do more. I wouldn't mention them, but they're still thriving there. Therefore, don't present the narrative to the farmers or to the producers that we should not produce more. Faced with cultural challenges, faced with COP, cost of production, let us continue producing at the risk of sounding controversial, but at the same time, let us only ensure that we produce it in a form, shape, and manner that the consumers can be able to get. Did we repeat it? Okay, the next is on, we need to look so much into value addition. I've highlighted it in red. Convenient products, product diversification, and e-commerce. That is the level at which we will be playing in this next phase if we are to have our industry intact. And we have seen what the Chinese who began their industry centuries before us, you could be able to see, you can actually mistake and buy a packet of tea thinking it is chocolate. But that has been their trick. That is how they have maintained their leadership. And that is what we need to do. Now, Mr. Nyongesa was to be here, but he sent his apologies. But when you look at value addition, I think as Kenya, we will need to see how we present our product to the world, away from what we are doing right now, whereby we rely on just selling it in bulk. We will still have to talk about it. We will still have to do that. I have been to many places, and whenever you see a very nice packet of tea, chances are it came from China. Chances are it came from China. because they have invested, reinvested, and invested again upon their invention, upon their investment. When we look at the history of packaging, packaging came as Dr. Kamunya took us through a lot on science. Let me take you through a lot on packaging. Everyone knows Napoleon as one of the greatest military leaders, but very few of them know that he is the one who invented food packaging. How many of us know that? Maybe Ian knows that. Oh, you didn't? Oh, okay. Napoleon is the one who actually invented packaging. Now, how did he do that? It was a matter of necessity being the mother of invention. When they were at war, and what happened is their competitors were very clever. They say, these people are coming, they're advancing. What we will do, we will burn all the wheat fields. So when they come, they will die of hunger. So the next time he went to war, he said, yes, they have burnt the fields, but is there a way we can be able to preserve our own food? And that is how one person came up. In 1809, he offered 12,000 francs to anyone who would preserve food for his army, and up stepped one of his chefs called Nicholas Appert. Is the one who discovered that food sterilized by boiling and then sealed in tins could be preserved for very long periods of time. And that is why many people in the military, you will see how they preserve their corned beef, they preserve their, what is this thing called, beans, okay? And so that is how packaging started in this world. And it is all about, I look at what is their disadvantage, how could I turn it into an advantage? And therefore, Appert's discovery provided the first reliable method for preserving many types of food for extended periods of time so that they could be used by troops on deployment. Some even say the method gave Napoleon a very, very strategic advantage in the next war. And that is Appert, that is him. And when we look at the journey in which any commodity takes, it has to be contained somewhere. It has to be contained somehow. And we in marketing, we normally say that the way you package your product, that is your very, very first salesperson. The way in which we are going to present our teas will be our first encounter with the consumer, even before we begin explaining the wonderful story of the attributes of Kenya tea. Kenya tea has got excellent attributes, and if we are able to package it well and present it, then that is the first interaction with the consumer. I don't know whether if I just came with any phone and told you this is a nice phone, please buy it. But I have to come with it in a brand. Say this is an Apple. Then we can begin talking, isn't it? So we need to package our tea, first of all, to be appealing to the eye before we can even tell the other story. Because if we begin with the other story and then come to this one, then we might still do the same thing in the next 100 years, and it might not. So are we in trouble? Because we need to, it's okay. All right.
We apologize for that.
Okay.
Power shortage, one of the impediments as well.
Cost
for
of
many
production,
manufacturers.
energy.
Yes.
Yeah, it's real.
Should be up now.
It is. So 200 years on, packaging has developed and evolved equally because of more efficient transportation networks. Industrialized countries have increasingly looked towards agriculturally based developing countries to satisfy their food requirements. So let us jump 2 slides and go to the one on tea, with tea. Yeah, there we are.
We apologize.
Okay, that's fine. That's okay. That's okay. I will just engage us on one thing. as this is sorted out. I once saw something on WhatsApp. Who can tell me the difference between a lady in makeup? Maybe Tony can tell me this. Yeah, he's a good person. A lady properly in makeup and
Okay.
one who is just flat. Whom will you go for? You.
Allow me to answer the question categorically, underline, italicized into bracket, between the one with makeup and the one flapped. Personally, I will go with the one with makeup.
With makeup. Why?
Yes. You see, we have two types of tea, all right? We have the tea that it has boiled slowly, and the one which has boiled until up of the sufuria. Those are two types of tea. Because the one with makeup, personally, according to me, is decent, well positioned, and packaged.
Packaged, that is the word.
Thank
It's
you.
well packaged, has put more effort. Okay, now these are the brands that we have. Some of these teas are actually from Kenya. But if I give you a tea that I've bought from the auction, tell you this is the best tea, and somebody who bought it and repackaged and sell this, which one would you buy? It is this. If you have to get value for our tea, my friends, we just have to do this. Next slide, Mbugwa. I'm just about done. I'm just about done. So here we are, the power of makeup, the power of packaging. Whether you like it or not, they look beautiful. And whether you like it or not, they will be different in the evening without these things and without when they're in their pajamas, they'll be different. So you are better off catching them off at this time, isn't it? The power of packaging, the power of packaging. We will need to reposition ourselves as a brand that can command. If we continue selling through the auction the same way, then we might not be able to crack 100 years. Even if you have inherent good qualities, oh my goodness, it's the packaging on the shelf which brings out the poise, the self-esteem, and the ability to attract others. What is the color of your parachute? Please read that book by Richard Boyles. It might help us. It might be a game changer for us in our tea industry. Thank you so much. We will put up the full presentation on the Centenary website once we have collated them together. But if we are to crack it, we definitely need to do more. Thank you so much. Linda, thanks for your patience.
Wow, a warm round of applause for Rosemary Owino. Thank you so much for sharing those insights with us. I wish we had more time, but remember, all these presentations will be uploaded on the TBK platform, so you will be able to access that. Thank you so much. Another warm round of applause, a better clap. Another lady making moves and playing a vital role in the tea sector. Rosemary is the Director, Markets Development and Trade Advisory, and she was representing the Chief Executive Officer of Tea Board of Kenya, Mr. Willie Mutai. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to the final part of the session, the award ceremony. And with that, allow me to invite my co-presenter, Tony Mwirigi, who will take us through the next chapter as we conclude.
All right. I need us to appreciate one more time, that is Rosemary before kae chini mikono juu tafadhali. Yesterday, I have just a very beautiful way of giving someone flowers while he or she's alive. Let's go on your left side. On your right side, flowers, Rosemary. No, that's not the way. One more time. I need some more energy. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gibbs, how are you? You good? Thank you so much. More flowers, more flowers, more flowers. On your right, on your left, on your right. Let's go. Another one. Close. Open. Thank you so much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go straight to our next, the last set of these amazing awards. We have two sets of trophies we'll be awarding to the speakers who have been here from Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Absolutely.
Apart from speakers also, we'll be giving this amazing award to the sponsors. We have
yes.
a couple of sponsors, roughly
Absolutely.
like 8 of them, and
Yes.
we have 16 speakers.
Those sponsors are the ones who made sure that these events
Oh yeah.
was a success, and we truly we are honored to have you here today.
All right, and in our first set of the first 4 speakers, I will be calling upon a board member from T-Board of Kenya, a member by the name Florence Mutembe, who will be awarding the first 4 speakers. Kindly make your way to the stage. Florence Mutembe, jamani makofi kwa Florence Mutembe as she makes her way to the stage. Florence Mutembe will be awarding our first speaker, that is Mr. Jacob Kahiu,
Yes.
Chairman
T-Board
T-Board of
of
Kenya.
Kenya.
Karibu sana, Mr. Jacob Kahiu. All right,
Is the chairperson around?
you go around?
If not, we'll ensure that this award really gets to him.
All right. On to our next one. That is second speaker, will be awarded by Florence Mutembe. That is Willie K. Mutai, the
Yes.
Chief Executive Officer, T-Board of Kenya. Makofi jamani, makofi
Wow,
jamani.
how about that?
All right.
Thank you, Willie, for ensuring that we had these auspicious events. And it has been successfully concluded. And we recognize the vital role that you play to ensure that the tea players and the tea industry stakeholders
Kabisa.
are well taken care of. We truly appreciate. Congratulations to you, Willie Mutai, the Chief Executive
Makofi
Officer.
jamani, makofi jamani. Let's
TBK.
give him his flowers.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much, Bwana CEO. And to our third speaker to receive his award is Isaac Tangola, Executive Director, Fair Trade. Jamani, makofi ya Isaac Tangola as he makes his way to the stage. That's our
Welcome,
third speaker to
Isaac.
receive the award from Florence Mutembe. We'll be awarding Isaac Tangola, Executive Director, Fair Trade. Makofi
Yes.
jamani.
Welcome, Isaac, and congratulations. Absolutely. A warm round of applause for him.
All right, thank you so much. And to our fourth speaker to receive his award, it's Ian Gibbs, President, International Tea Committee. Makofi jamani as Mr. Gibbs makes his way to the stage. That is the-
Remember, yes, Tony,
Yeah.
remember that this particular summit had been represented by UK, China, India, Sri
Yeah.
Lanka, and now we have Ian Gibbs from United Kingdom. Thank you so much, Ian, for creating time and being with us throughout this summit and being one of our speakers today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ian Gibbs. Thank you so much, Florence Mutembe. And now allow us also to call upon our next board member from T-Board of Kenya. That is Mr. Charles Kirigwi. Charles Kirigwi will be awarding the next set of speakers. And Mr. Charles Kirigwi will be awarding Samuel Thumbi, Technical Director, Williamson. All right?
Yes, and Samuel Fumbi
Is he
is
around?
not around, but we'll ensure that his award reaches to him.
All right. Next, Linda.
Absolutely. George Omunga.
George Omuga will be the next one, the next speaker to receive the award. Makofi jamani ya George Omuga,
That
MD,
is, yes,
MD East African Tea Trade Association. That is the Managing Director, East Africa Tea Trade Association.
absolutely. And remember, Yata is the second largest
Oh, yeah.
auction in the world after Sri Lanka.
Amazing.
We are
One of the
truly
speakers
proud
that
to
we
have
have
you.
had for this summit. Next will be Nishant Gaj, that is Managing Director, Gem Machinery and Allied Industries
Absolutely.
Limited. Gem, that is Nishant Gaj. Is he around? Is he around?
Well, we'll ensure that he receives his award.
All right. On to our next speaker, we have Mr. Tom Mushura. Mr. Tom Mushura. Mr. Tom Mushura.
We can have a representative to pick for him.
All right. Someone who can take the award.
Absolutely, we have someone joining us.
All right. Thank you so much.
much.
And before we release Mr. Charles, he will also award Wilson Mudaura, the group CEO, KTDA.
Absolutely. KTDA plays a key role in the tea industry,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's good to recognize the role that they play.
Is
Is
he
the
around?
CEO still here? Any representation from Kenya Tea Development Agency, Ndiga?
To receive the award on behalf of Wilson Mudhawa, Group CEO. Karibu sana.
Yes,
Thank you
we
so
have.
much. All right. We are appreciating two sets of awards. We have the speakers and the sponsors who made this event a success. We have been here from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and this is the fourth day of this amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Charles. And now allow me to introduce the next T-board member from TBK.
Michael Mandu.
Michael Mandu. You'll be awarding the next set of awards. Kindly make your way to the stage. Michael Mandu. Makofi jamani, makofi ya Michael Mandu.
Thank you
T-board
so
of Kenya
much.
board member.
Yes, and he was also one of the speakers, and we recognize.
Oh, yeah. Allow us to introduce the next speaker to receive the award, Sanjit
Bagaria.
again.
Sanjit Bagaria. Global.
You can, is he around?
Yes,
Karibu sana.
absolutely.
Makofi
Thank
jamani,
you
a round
so
of applause
much.
to Sanjit,
And remember, now we go to India.
India.
Yes, UK
Yeah.
has been represented. Now we go
Yes.
to India.
Have you ever been to
Welcome.
India? Linda,
Yes.
have you ever been to India?
Yes.
Have you ever been to India?
Oh, we talked about which side yesterday?
Mumbai.
Mumbai.
Mumbai in
You've
India.
been there.
Congratulations to you, Mr. Sanjit. On next one, Mr. Bernard Soy,
Yes.
MD.
Kipchimjim Group.
Say it again.
Kipchimjim Group.
Wapi makofi jamani, yeah,
David
Mr.
Sawa
Bernard
is
Soy,
here with
one of the
us.
speakers to
Congratulations
receive.
to you. Yes.
On behalf of TBK, we want to say congratulations, hongera sana,
And
for
thank
that
you.
award.
Thank you for supporting the cause. Thank you so much. That is
All right.
David Sawa.
Thank you so much. To our next one, this award, I think we will be having someone from MediaMax to receive, that is Mr. George, Head of Digital Channels,
Yes.
to receive on behalf of Mr. Ken Ngaruya, CEO, Media.